Mary, let's start with you. How do you feel about today?
Holiday week here. I'm going to be, more conservative, more picky than my usual kind of shotgun approach. I will be watching that. I'm looking at gold, watching if it maybe fails from these overnight highs or whatnot in this region. Right now, it's not great excess, but I'm kind of looking at maybe just a scalp short gold. If it starts to break down this 78 level, I might look to hop on board and just catch some small traversal across this kind of balance that we're putting in here. On the S&P side of things, I still think it's swing long mode. I think that now we have a substantial bottom. Hopefully some of you guys were able to catch some of the pullbacks. Now it's kind of at a place where it could have just a small healthy pullback and perhaps provide more opportunities to get on board with like swing long opportunities. Pretty quiet session overnight. That's not a lot going on right here. So for me to trade the S&P today, I'll probably wait for it to at least start to break out of the bulk of yesterday's balance and whatnot up here, and or at least fail at the edges of it or something like that.
Yeah, my volume profile is it's a textbook Gaussian bell-shaped curve, man.
Oh, yeah.
That point of control at 18.
I don't want to touch it in the middle of that area, that's for sure.
Yeah. Chris, what are you thinking?
A little bit of the same as Merritt. I do think we've seen a good low last week, and this week is typically bullish. So I think any retracement will be bought, and then maybe we figure out if we get some more volatility next week. But I'm looking to buy pullbacks today.
Got it. Jack.
Yeah, I'm looking to buy pullbacks today. I also think there is a possibility that oil we've made 3 consecutive daily lows on a 78% retracement of the entire range. And today so far, we've swept below that 78% of the range, just barely. So if we can hold a low here and start heading higher, I'm hoping maybe we can get a reversal in oil, but looking for pullbacks in the indexes. And then gold, we did have the futures rollover in the February contract, which I always think that there's a little more action typically around rollovers just because institutions have to roll their positions. That's making that a more interesting contract. And then of course, Bitcoin been moving lower. I guess, is it digital gold? Is it not digital gold? Is the flight to safety really in gold? So I think gold's going to be a pretty active market here. I mean, we're up 45 points in the overnight session. I'm looking to buy the 50% retracement from that overnight low, which is a 41.64.5. So I got an order on there right now, and I'm hoping we can pull back into it and then get a continuation. For the Nasdaq, I do think we're going to sweep through this most recent overnight low at like 4 a.m. and I'm looking around the 24,765 level to enter into a continuation long at this point in time. So I'm almost looking long every single market right now, looking for pullbacks in gold, looking for a reversal back higher in oil. As you can see, that daily low is held 3 separate days in a row, and they have just a sweeping wick below. There was a huge, I'm not sure, I haven't checked the news, but this morning at 7:40 Eastern, there was a huge $1.23 point or candle in oil. I don't know what that was from. I haven't checked yet, but if that can't have continued selling pressure, I see that kind of as exhaustion if we can't continue below that. So if we can get back up into that middle of the range, I'm looking long oil, looking for some pushes lower in the indexes to get long, and kind of the same thing in gold right now. So I'm looking to still be pretty active, even though it is the holiday. I'm not scared of it.
Awesome. Well, Tracy's stoked up in the chat right now saying, yes, an oil trader. It's her market. So awesome, man.
So for those of you guys who are looking at my screen, I'll just kind of explain a couple of things I have up here. This top yellow bar is probably one of the most important things I look at. It's a code I wrote. It's just an ATR expansion code I refer to as. And what it does is it's taking the last 10 bars average of whatever time frame I'm looking at, and then multiplying that number by 1.5, and then giving me a number that actually would be the risk per contract at that level. So like for the Nasdaq, it'd be like 68 points is 50%, a 50% increase of the 10 bar average shoe range, which is kind of about where I like to keep my stops around where that number is, especially on a day trade. I mean, if you're looking at higher time frame swing trades, that's going to change. But like if I'm intraday trading a 5-minute chart, I don't want to use. I mean, sometimes you need a 150 point stop in the Nasdaq. Like when we were the other day, that number was spitting out at 180 when we had some of that volatility in the NQ. But just, you know, you got to keep in mind, I always say, take what the market's giving you, but how do you know what the market's giving you unless you're measuring what the market's doing? So I just do that through that ATR code that I have at the top. That's that yellow box. And then he'll see if we actually put in a yellow bar here, that means that bar is 50% greater than the average true range that we've seen.
All right, we have now rotated across the overnight balance, so I'm going to be looking to start scaling out. I do think we can run stops below those lows that I mentioned that I might short at the open. So here we are about to do that now. So I'll look to use that to fuel le PNL. Flush them.
See if the ES gets anything here. It's 78, but we are rotating lower in almost every asset right now.
There's the flush. You see that? Look at the huge delta. Squirrely.
Yeah, taking out that morning low. Are you talking about the delta in the ES right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right as we took out that like 9 o'clock low.
Well, should I scale some out, chat?
Look at that. Beautiful. See, it'll probably take out overnight lows here. NQ's failed to hold 800, so the next spot is 650s here. NVIDIA's down 6%.
NVIDIA's down 6%.
Yeah. Big breakdown.
All right, little buying came in there below the -2 standard deviation, so I'll scale out of 2/3. And I don't know. I've ashamedly admitting here, I don't really have a plan for this trade. It was mostly an order flow driven scalp. I saw a bunch of longs get trapped up there at the top, and so I took advantage of it. Now we've got the stop run through the area that I was originally looking for into the open. So, you know, there's quite a bit of selling and momentum here, so I'll hang around for a little bit, but this is just not a big idea trade that I want to be married to here.
You've been trading as long as married. You don't need a plan. You just show up and execute.
Well, Dan, I would have been short way above the opening range, right? Oh, you were talking about something different, not me. My bad. Not everything's about you, Merritt.
Typical.
Typical.
All right, so if we go back to the scenarios since until I talk about, we are seeing scenario 2.1 in NQ where we fail to hold the most immediate support here at 800, 790s to 800. We've moved down into 640, 650s. Kind of almost back tested this breakout from yesterday, probably 100 points away, but it was almost a back test of that. Now, can we bounce back up? It does not. We do now have resistance at 800 that we will need to reclaim. And then for ES, we pretty much almost back tested yesterday's breakout as well, which is scenario 2.1. Can we bounce, reclaim 66.93, which we're attempting to do so now? And then if we can reclaim those breakdown zones and then form some acceptance above, then we can say, okay, that's a pretty nasty failed breakdown, and then move back up. But I mean, ES is much, much, much stronger than NQ at the moment. You know, we're gonna have to see if we can hold up here then to look for higher. If not, continuation lower.
Wait, there was another question. Merritt, hope you're well. In a couple of words, why you dumped footprints? Why you use 3,000 volume for ES instead of 5 or 10 or 1.5 or whatever. Footprint charts can be great. They show you a very, very granular view, right? Very granular view, typically. I guess you could make a huge footprint chart, but most people don't do that. They show a very granular view of what the volume is doing at prices. So for me, I'm very in tune with what the volume is doing with other tools that I'm using, like cumulative delta and just the speed of things and having an understanding of what kind of energy is in the market. I have nothing against footprint charts. In fact, I even tried to put one on recently and decided, you know what, I stick with my guns here. I'm not using this thing. And I'm a firm believer in every single chart on your workstation should have a job description. This is big advice for the chat here today. If you have something, an indicator, a chart, something up on your screens, and it doesn't have a job description for your process, you got to get rid of it. I don't care how pretty it is, how much you're some kind of like emotional attachment to it. You got to get rid of it because it's doing nothing but creating confusion, cognitive dissonance, delay, stalling, indecision for you in your trading. So anyways, footprint charts, I just don't need it. I just don't need it. I have good enough timing skills with the tools that I'm using. So that's why I don't use it. Again, just to reiterate one more time, it's a perfectly good tool. You can use it, love it, great, fantastic. The more of a short-term scalper you are, the more applicable it is.